What happens when a powerful officer decides to travel like any other commoner? One early morning, IPS Nandita Roy of Kalina district boarded a crowded auto rickshaw wearing a simple black sari and looking every bit like a modest sister on her way to attend some family wedding. The driver never knew who his passenger really was. For him, she was just another traveler going home. As they rattled along, the driver turned round nervously and confessed, "Madame, I'm taking this route for you, but there might be police ahead." He muttered about a local inspector who liked to stop autos, exact fines, and pocket the money. Nandita listened, curiosity stirring. Were the rumors true? Would they actually run into trouble? Soon enough, they did. Inspector Dashish and a few constables were checking on the road. The inspector flagged the auto down with his baton and, the moment the vehicle stopped, barked an order, "Get down. Do you own this road? Driving like this, do you think you're above the law? Pay a fine 5,000 taka now." A wave of fear overwhelmed the driver. "Sir, I have not violated any rule. Please don't fine me. Today I have not earned anything. How will I pay?" He shivered as he pleaded, explaining he had children to feed. Inspector Dashish, infuriated and impatient, sneered, "If you don't have money, why are you running an auto? Show me the papers or your vehicle would be seized." The driver produced his documents. Everything was in order. Still, Dashish wouldn't relent. "Even if the papers are fine, pay up. If not 5,000, then 3,000. Otherwise, your auto goes to the yard." The words landed like a verdict, designed less to enforce the law than to squeeze money from a terrified man. Nandita Roy heard everything. Behind her unpretentious sorry, she watched the inspector's show of intimidation. The bully's script played out on the roadside. The driver's voice trembled as he begged for mercy. "Where will I get that money, sir? My children, what will they eat?" Dashish responded with a hard slap and a cold threat. "Too much talking. Come to the station and I'll teach you a lesson." Something snapped inside Nan. She stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice, refusing to stay silent. "Inspector, this is wrong. You can't fine someone without cause. Striking him is unlawful. You have no right to torment a poor man." Her voice cut through the tense air. Dashish's face contorted in anger. "Oh, really? You know the law now? Okay, let us see who learns a lesson today. You shall know the smell of jail." He commanded the havildars take them to the station, teach them a lesson. At the station, Dashish sat back with a smirk and ordered tea as the two were made to wait, deliberately humiliated. As he sipped, his phone buzzed. He spoke quickly, casually arranging something that made Nandita's stomach sink. This corruption wasn't restricted to the road. It ran into the corridors of the station itself. Nandita held her anger in her every muscle tight. She wasn't going to make a scene that would allow the inspector to hide behind his badge. She was going to expose him, and she was going to do it in such a manner that this whole town would see it. The driver sat nearby, tears in his eyes, terrified for his family, and broken by the sudden threat to his livelihood. The stage was set. What had promised to be a routine journey to a sister's wedding had transformed into a test not just of courage, but of whether justice would bend to the powerful or stand for the helpless. The trembling auto driver sat silently beside Nandita, fear still clouding his face, but she looked so calm that a faint glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. Something in her composure reassured him. She leaned forward a little and whispered, "Don't worry. This inspector can do nothing to you. I'm here and you'll see now the real power of the law. He's misusing his position, and I won't let that go unpunished. For now, stay calm. You've done no wrong, and you are safe with me." She paused, her eyes fierce yet controlled. "I'm not any woman. I'm IPS officer Nandita Roy. I wanted to catch his corruption red-handed, so I have kept quiet. I want to see till what extent he'll go before bringing him into the open." The driver looked at her, disbelieving. His face was a mixture of shock and relief. You're really IPS, madam? Then why didn't you stop him earlier? Why let him insult me like that?" His voice shook, suspicion flickering in his eyes for a moment. Nandita gave a faint smile. "Because I need proof. Had I stopped him right away, he would have hidden his crimes. Now, I will let him dig his own grave. Just wait and watch." Moments later, Inspector Dashish summoned a "Bring that auto driver in," he ordered. The havildar nodded and stepped out, motioning for the driver to follow. The poor man looked terrified, but Nandita's steady gaze gave him courage. "Go," she said softly. "No matter what happens, I'm here." Inside the room, Dashish sat casually with one leg over the other with a cigarette between his fingers and arrogance in his eyes. "So," he said, smirking, "if you want to save your auto, you'll have to pay 5,000 tak. Otherwise, I'll seize it and maybe make your life a little harder. Remember, this district runs under my rule. I can do whatever I please." Shaking, the driver pleaded through tears, "Sir, please, have mercy. I've done nothing wrong. I barely earn enough to feed my children. How can I pay 5,000 tak?" But the inspector merely sneered. "Enough begging. Give me the money or you'll regret it." Desperate, the driver pulled out 2,000 taka from his pocket and handed it over, his hands shaking. "This is all I have," he whispered, ashamed. Dashish snatched the money. "Fine. Sit outside," he barked. Then he commanded, "Bring that woman in." Addressing one of the havildars there, Nandita stepped in. The inspector eyed her with a mocking smile. "What's your name?" he asked lazily. Nandita stood straight, her voice firm. "Why do you need my name? Say what you have to say." She showed unwavering confidence, which astonished him. No one had ever dared speak to him in such a manner. "Don't be a smart aleck," he snarled. "We have ways of dealing with recalcitrant people. If you don't cooperate, a few blows from a stick will remind you who's in charge. Now listen carefully. Give me 2,000 taka or go to jail." Nandita replied in a sharp, fearless voice. "I won't give you a single taka. I have done nothing wrong. But you are the ones who are breaking the law that you vowed to protect. Do you even know the meaning of the uniform that you are wearing, or did you wear it to exploit people?" There was a moment's silence in the room, followed by Dashish red with anger, slamming his fist on the table. "Enough, Havildar, lock this woman up." The Havildar hesitated but did so. Little did any of them know that they were putting behind bars their own district's IPS officer, an act for which they were to pay very dearly soon. Nandita, inside the dark cell, maintained her silence, her face composed, but her eyes ablaze, knowing that this was going to change everything. Within minutes, the shrill sound of a car screeched outside the station. A tall, sharp-faced man stepped out. Inspector Vikram Singh. His stride was brisk, his expression stormy. Entering the station, he called out, "Where's the woman you locked up?" A startled Havildar stammered, "Yes, sir, she's in the cell." "But why?" He could get no further before Dashish stumbled from his bedroom, bewildered. "Vikram, what's wrong? Why have you come?" Vikram's voice was icy. "I heard you have arrested a woman. I want to see her." Dashish led him toward the lockup, still smirking. But the moment Vikram Singh saw who was inside, his face changed in an instant. His eyes were wide with shock and anger. "What have you done?" he thundered, his voice carrying across the station. The entire room froze. No one dared breathe, because in that instant, it dawned on everybody the ordinary woman in that cell wasn't ordinary at all. The voice of Inspector Vikram Singh boomed through the station. "This is IPS Madam Nandita Roy, the superintendent of Kalinagar district. Do you even realize what you've done?" The room fell silent. Inspector Dashish froze. His face turned ashen, arrogance melting into terror. "Wat, madame, IPS," he stuttered in incredulity. The ground below his feet disappeared as the truth sank in. He beckoned to the Havildar, who scrambled to unlock the cell. Out came IPS Nandita Roy. Her eyes sharp but her tone even. She turned to Vikram Singh and related everything from the roadside harassment to the moment she was falsely imprisoned. Vikram listened intently, his jaw tightening in anger. Without wasting a second, he called the district magistrate. "Sir," he said urgently, "IPS Nandita Roy requests your presence at the station. It's a serious matter. Please come immediately." Within minutes, District Magistrate Arindam Basu arrived, and immediately officers stood to attention. The DM heard the entire account and then confronted Inspector Dashish squarely. "What you've done is a grave offense. You've abused your power, extorted the poor, and humiliated citizens. You've violated the very law you swore to uphold, and now, there's no escape." Nandita now spoke in a calm tone but filled with moral fire. "Sir, I don't even know how many lives this man has destroyed, how many poor families he's bullied, how many smiles he's stolen. I observed everything quietly because I wanted to expose him, not just punish him. He is unfit to wear this uniform. His crimes deserve to be brought to light for the entire district to see." She turned to the DM and said, "Let's hold a press conference tomorrow morning. I'll testify personally, and the auto driver will too. The public deserves the truth." The DM nodded solemnly. "Agreed. The press conference tomorrow morning. Inspector Dashish, you attend, and the driver will be there too." With his statement, the news spread like wildfire in Kalinagar. In the evening, the whole town was talking. People whispered among themselves how, finally, that arrogant inspector had been caught. For years he had terrorized them, but knowing IPS Nandita Roy was behind his case, his end was near. Early next morning, the police headquarters became a beehive of activity. Reporters flooded the premises, cameras flashed, and slogan-shouting crowds milled outside. "Down with corruption. Justice to the people." Cars lined up in front of the street, tension high in the air. In the main conference hall sat DM Arindam Basu at the center table. To his right was IPS Nandita Roy, dignified in her uniform, while to his left sat Inspector Vikram Singh, composed but alert. By stark contrast, Inspector Dashish sat hunched and ashamed, all his confidence shattered. The DM struck the table bell. "This press conference is now in session," he announced. "IPS Madam Nandita Roy will begin with her statement." Nandita stood up. The hall became quiet. She stood tall, her voice clear and loud. "What happened yesterday," she began, "did not happen only to me. It happened to every poor citizen of Kalinagar who, instead of protection, has received fear from those that are meant to serve them. Let me tell you how a man wearing this uniform has turned it into a tool of extortion." She described everything, from the moment she entered the auto rickshaw to the point she was unlawfully jailed. The crowd listened in rapt attention. "The driver warned me that Inspector Dashish routinely stopped autos to demand bribes. I thought it was just fear talking until I saw it myself." He stopped us, demanded 5,000 taka without reason, and when we resisted, he used threats and violence. Finally, he had me, an IPS officer, locked up because I refused to give him money. Imagine what he must be doing to those who have no voice at all. Her words cut through the room like thunder. This uniform represents service, not supremacy, and when somebody uses it to terrorize the poor, he insults the whole police force. I am standing here today, not for myself, but for every rickshaw puller, every laborer, and every innocent person who has suffered under such corruption. The law has to be the same for everybody, and no one, whatever his rank may be, should be above it. The hall erupted in applause. Cameras flashed as people hooted in support from the media, and even the DM nodded gravely, visibly moved. "Call the driver," said the DM. A nervous man stepped forward. "My name is Ajay," he said, voice trembling. "I've been driving an auto for 10 years. Where poor people work day and night just to feed our families. But officers like Dashish make our lives hell. Every time we pass their checkpoints, they demand money. If we don't pay, they seize our vehicles and fine us for crimes we didn't commit." Tears welled up in his eyes as he continued. "Yesterday, I begged him to let me go. I told him I have small children, but he didn't listen. I was forced to give him 2,000 takai, everything I had, just to keep my auto. Otherwise, my family would have gone hungry." It was silent in the hall again. Reporters were scribbling notes, flashes lit up the room, and the weight of AJ's words hung in the air. Everyone could see it. Now this was not just one inspector's crime. It was about a system that needed to change, and IPS Nandita Roy was the spark that had set that change in motion. AJ's voice trembled as he continued, his eyes glistening with tears. "I never imagined," he said, "that the woman sitting in my auto that morning was an IPS officer. If Madame Nandita Roy hadn't been there, we poor people would have kept getting robbed like this day after day. She stood up for us when no one else ever did. I will forever be grateful to her for exposing the truth." His words, expressed with emotion, pierced the hearts of all in the hall. Several journalists lowered their cameras for a moment, emotionally choked up, before quickly resuming the recording. A story greater than news was actually being looked at, justice in its due course. DM Aaron Dambasu looked across the packed room, his face grave, yet resolute. "Today's testimony has made one thing absolutely clear," he announced. "Inspector Dashish has abused his authority, exploited the poor, and betrayed the trust of the public. This will not, and cannot, be tolerated in our district." He waved an official paper before the cameras and read out loudly from it, "Inspector Dashish is hereby suspended from duty with immediate effect. A case would be registered against him, and he was to be taken into custody today. Further investigation may lead to more stringent action." As soon as the DM had finished, the room erupted into applause. People rose to their feet, cheering and clapping. The crowd outside joined in, chanting, "Justice has been served. Down with corruption. Long live Madame Nandita." Inspector Dashish sat frozen, his face ashen. The arrogance that once filled his voice had vanished. His hands shook as two officers stepped forward and handcuffed him. Reporters swarmed around as cameras flashed every frame, capturing the downfall of a corrupt officer. Surrounded by police, Dashish was escorted out of the hall. His once proud posture now slumped in defeat. The crowd started chanting in unison, and it reverberated through the building. "End corruption. Long live IPS Nandita Roy." Nandita stepped forward, addressing the people with calm authority. Her voice carried both strength and warmth. "Today's verdict," she said, "is not the defeat of one corrupt officer, but a victory for every honest citizen who dares to stand against injustice. When we unite for truth, no power can silence us. Remember this: a police uniform represents service, not fear, protection, not exploitation. Let this be a reminder for everyone in power. Justice may be delayed, but it never stays hidden." Once again, the hall erupted with thunderous applause. The cameras captured Nandita's composed face, evidence of integrity and courage, as the music swelled in the background. The narrator concluded, "That's all for today's story. Comment below and tell us how you liked it. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed as yet, then do it now. Those of you who watched this video till the very end, comment complete, and tell us where you are watching from." The music subsides as the screen fades to the outro with the determined face of Nandita Roy symbolizing justice standing tall amidst corruption.